Hey, it's Austin with Park Place, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do a buyer consultation. Now, I'm going to be assuming that I am working with some first-time home buyers, and they are not pre-approved yet, but they'll likely be getting approved for somewhere around $600,000, and they'll probably do a down payment of somewhere in the 3 to 5% range. Now, usually when I do a buyer's consultation, they will meet me at my office, or in some situations, I might even meet them at a Starbucks, depending on where they're located. And when I first meet with them, whether at my office or at a Starbucks or whatever the case might be, I'll have a conversation with them, kind of get an idea for what it is that they're hoping to do, what their timeline might be. Basically, I guess you could say almost like small talk and just kind of getting to know what their situation is. Now, at some point, I will transition into giving them a presentation. And I highly recommend that you actually go through a presentation with your clients, even if you know them and if you're friends with them, because it allows you to establish how the process will go. And this will save you later down the line because everyone will be on the same page essentially. So with that being said, usually when I'm having a conversation with them, I'm ready to transition into giving them a presentation, and I'll usually say something along the lines of, "Okay, well, I actually have a presentation that I like to take all of my clients through. Would it be okay if I took you through that real quick?" And then they'll say yes, and then that's when I transition into giving the presentation. There we go. So the very first major step to purchasing a home is to get pre-approved. Now, as you're going through this part of the process, you're going to determine things like your down payment, your monthly payments, what your interest rate is going to be, about how much cash you're going to need to close, and basically all of the financial side of the equation is going to get established because we're basically putting together your budget. Now, I understand that you have not gotten pre-approved yet, and that's perfectly fine. I actually have a quality lender that I send a lot of my clients to, and he does a great job of taking care of you. I'll get you guys connected here after this meeting. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is define criteria. Now, let me speak to you here just real quick. Another thing that I like to have with me when I'm doing my buyer consultations is a notepad and a pen, because it's really nice to be able to jot down notes. Now, you might have already discussed some of these things when you're doing your warm up essentially with them, but really, this I still go through it in this slide. I'll write down exactly what it is that they're looking for. And yeah, so back into the presentation. So defining your criteria, this is when we're going to establish exactly what you're looking for. So then we would go back and forth basically and say how many bedrooms they want, bathrooms they want, all that good stuff. And then I like to write down all of those items and repeat it back to them. That way that they understand that we're not just talking, but I'm actually listening to what they're saying. And I usually get a great response when I repeat back to them exactly what it is that they're looking for. So now that we've defined exactly what the criteria are, here's an outline of what the next steps look like. So we'll actually want to get out there and tour homes, because we've all seen homes online that have not held up to what they actually were in person, and Photoshop is quite amazing these days. So we need to get out there and actually look at the properties. Although there are some cases where we've helped our clients purchase remotely, I don't think that's the situation here. So we'll want to get out there and actually look at homes in person. Once we find a home that you fall in love with and you're super excited about moving forward on, we'll go ahead and submit an offer. Submitting an offer is a pretty easy process. Offers are typically somewhere around 20 pages long, and they mostly consist of fill in the blank standard legalized contracts that we use here with our MLS, the Northwest MLS. And so we'll determine things like how much you're willing to pay for the home. So that would be the price. How much of a down payment are you wanting to do? What type of financing are you doing? Are you going to do a home inspection? If so, how long do we have to complete that home inspection? So this is basically where we will actually start writing down all of the specific details of the offer. And then you can sign in person, but typically we will send this out via email, and so you can just sign it from wherever you're at. And then if you have questions at this point in the process, you can go ahead and let me know, and I'll walk you through whatever it is that you're having a question on. And then hopefully on the first home that we submit an offer on, we'll go pending. If that's not the case, then we'll have to start this process over and go from there. And then usually, just speaking to you again, usually what I'll do is at the end of each slide or every other slide, I'll just say, hey, any questions on this? And that way, as we're going through the presentation, it's a pretty short presentation as is anyway. So I like to kind of just stop as I'm going through and just really make sure that there's no questions or anything along the lines of that. Now, earnest money is similar to a security deposit. It really shows the seller that you're serious about purchasing their home. Now, earnest money is typically about 1% of the purchase price. So on a $600,000 house, that'd be $6,000. And that's usually deposited within 2 days after we go pending. So we put the offer in, we go pending. Usually within 2 business days, we submit the earnest money to a neutral third party called escrow. And that's where they will hold your earnest money until we actually complete the sale. And that's great because your earnest money will actually go towards your down payment or your closing costs, depending on how you and your lender decide to structure your financing. Now, typically with my clients, I like to have them do a home inspection within about 5 days. We can set that to be a little bit longer period of time if we wish. We can also do it sooner if we wish, but I usually like to aim for about 5 days with my clients doing home inspections. Now, when we do a home inspection, that's just when we hire a licensed professional to come out and check all of the nooks and crannies, so to speak, of the home. They're going to check things like the crawl space, the attic, electrical, plumbing, the roof, pretty much everything that has to do with the home. They're going to just do a full inspection on it, and they'll let you know if there's anything of concern and anything that you should basically, potentially talk with the seller about to try to get them to either fix or potentially give you a credit. And those are some of the options that you have. You'll have the ability during the inspection to ask the seller to fix items, ask the seller to credit you some money for you to fix the items, maybe a combination of those 2 items, or you could potentially just walk away if for some reason something really spooked you on the house or we found something major that was wrong with it. You could actually walk away from the home and you would be able to get all of your earnest money back just because we have this home inspection contingency built into your offer, basically. Home inspections usually cost somewhere in the $400 to $700 range, depending on the size of the property, the type of the property, where it's located, all that good stuff. And so any questions on this? And then boom, we'd move on to the next slide here. Now, the down payment, that's going to be the sum of money that you put down on the home that you're purchasing. This will be established when you talk with your lender and get your loan structured and set up. So you'll be able to figure out what your down payment will be when that time comes. Now, as far as closing costs go, there are essentially a lot of fees that come into play when you're purchasing a home, and some of those do include like your loan origination fee for getting the loan set up, but there will be other things like your prepaid taxes, you'll have insurance that you have to buy, all that kind of stuff. And so there's probably about between 10 and 20 of these little tiny costs that you'll see. They put it on an estimated settlement statement. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I actually have an example settlement statement from a past client where I actually just took out I blacked out all of the contact information for the client, for the property and whatnot. That way none of their information would be disclosed. And then I can show them there. And, some clients don't really care too much about this, and then others are very analytical and would actually like to see exactly what some of these things are. And so then I'll pull that settlement statement out, I'll show them what the items are, I'll show them the title, the title fee, the escrow fee, I'll show them the home insurance policy, like all that kind of stuff is all itemized, and that's something that I'll show them in some cases. But closing costs will typically be somewhere in the 2 to 3% range, depending on a number of factors, and that's something that your lender will help you identify and figure out when you're getting pre-approved. And then when we find a specific property that you actually want to put an offer in on, you'll be able to get very close to what your actual closing costs will be. They'll be able to run an estimate for you on that, and then you'll know. Any questions on closing costs? Okay, and then this is just a summary of the costs for purchasing a home. So we discussed earnest money, which is kind of like a security deposit, typically about 1% of the purchase price. We also have the home inspection, which can cost in the $400 to $700 range. That's where you're doing the inspection of the property. Your down payment will be determined between you and your lender. And then as far as closing costs go, those are typically in the 2 to 3% range. And your lender will also be able to help you identify what those costs are as well. And then I'm going to just skip this slide. This is actually a new This is actually a new concept for a slide that I'm putting together, and it's not fully built out yet. But I thought that this would be kind of cool to have like an example timeline for what you can actually expect as far as a timeline goes. What makes this a little bit more of a complicated slide to put together is that a lot of these things are very variable. And so I'll go ahead and just skip over this for today, but go ahead and take a look at this as well. Feel free to, you'll see here that we actually gave you a copy of the presentation, so you'll be able to duplicate this and customize it. And if you want to try to build this out and add that to your presentation, please be my guest. Now, why us? And if this is you, you could say, why us? I typically will have another agent sit in on a buyer consultation with me that will be doing most of the showings. And so a lot of times I'll say, why us? If this is just you, you can say, why me? I just put our company logo here. You could put a picture of yourself. You could put a picture of your logo. That's completely up to you. And then what this is called what we call, and probably what a lot of people would call, an offer stack. And so and you'll kind of see why we're putting an offer stack here, but this is also something that you can customize. This is just some of the standard stuff that we offer, and what we put in here as a good starting point for our agents to use in their presentations, but I'm sure that this slide gets customized fairly often. So why us? So the reason why is because it's actually simple. The minute that you decide to work with me and my team, you can consider this entire thing done and handled. We're going to tour homes together. We'll show you, sometimes we'll find you the right home on the very first one, and other times it might take 20 to 30 showings before we actually find you the perfect property. So whether we find it for you on the first one or on the 30th one, we'll be there for you to tour homes every single step of the way. We'll also help with doing property research. So before we even go out to the property, we'll pull up the MLS, we'll chat with the listing agent to see what's going on with it. We'll check if they've uploaded any supplements and additional documentation to the agent portal. That way we can do as much research in advance, because hey, we might find things that are deal breakers for you, or we might find things that even make the property sound even better to you. We'll help you write offers. We'll not only just write the offers, but we'll help you strategize how to structure the offers. We'll help protect your earnest money. We'll let you know when you're going to act in a certain way that may cost you your earnest money, and we'll help you play those scenarios with you. We'll help you work through the home inspection, and so we'll be present for that. We're obviously not allowed to comment too much on the home inspection, but we can help you navigate through that too. And then as far as negotiation and strategy, this is a huge one. We're in a super changing market right now. And so understanding how to structure offers and what angles to come in and at what times to come in at can make all the difference for you. And so we'll help you with that. And then really you get a full-time representative to walk you through this process from start to finish. Now, as you can see, we really try to take a more full service client approach when it comes to working with our clients. And in order for us to do that, the best part about this and what makes it an absolute no-brainer is that our cost is free to you. The seller compensates us at closing. And so, but because we try to make this such a full service for you, we ask that our clients commit to us by signing what is called a buyer agency agreement. And really all that says is that we're working together, and that when you purchase your home, you'll use us to write up the offer, and this helps us leverage that, and so that way we can actually get paid when we find you your perfect home. So I guess my question to you would be, does it sound like we would be a good fit together, to work together, and would you like to get the process started today? So because we went through the offer stack on the last page, this is like just a great opportunity for us to really build up, what they're getting when they work with us and whatnot. And like I said, you can customize this to say whatever you want. And then we use this last page to just position it to them like, hey, you don't pay us anything, the seller pays us, but we do ask that you actually commit to us. And then at Park Place, we actually have an internal buyer agency agreement form that we like to use. And that form basically says that they agree to work with us and they agree to write up the offers with us. But it does state in there that they will not be on the hook to compensate us in any way, shape, or form. So depending on how you like to structure working with your clients, it really does come down to a personal preference. The form also states that they'll be willing to sign the Northwest MLS standard buyer agency form, which is like a 41A, I want to say. But just for me personally, and this is where it comes down to a very personal preference, I never have my clients sign it unless it's at the time of submitting an offer on something that has like a very low selling office commission, and then I'll use it at that point as leverage. But up until that, I won't usually use it. The main thing that I'm trying to accomplish by getting the buyers to sign something is just getting a mental and in writing commitment that they are going to work with me. That's really the main reason why I try to get them to sign anything, is just because once they sign that, the stickability of them actually completing the sale when the time comes with you is basically 100%. Like, they're not going to go start working with another agent. And a couple of things happen here. I guess that this might be for typically a newer agent. I think as a newer agent, like, people kind of get a little bit scared when it comes time to ask to sign an agreement and whatnot. But I will tell you that number one, I have never not had a buyer sign this agreement with me when they come into my conference room or meet with me on a one-on-one basis and actually go through this process. I really don't think I've ever had a buyer not sign it. And then not only have I not had a buyer not sign it, I have also noticed that the buyers are typically like super excited to sign it, and they're like, absolutely, I will totally sign that. And then boom, they just sign it right then and there. And then it's not, for me personally, I'm not going to try to, push any contractual agenda on them. I really am just trying to get a commitment from them. So, but yeah, I think that's the last slide that we have here for you. I hope you found this helpful. What we do when we're talking with our agents here at Park Place is we tell them, number one, this is roughly how we give the presentation. So hopefully you got some good information there. Now, the next couple of things are number two, I guess you could say, is that you need to practice this. So you can't just, listen to this once and then maybe practice it once. You should practice it over and over and over and over again. And this should be saved on your desktop or on your laptop or whatever, so that you can give a buyer consultation at the drop of a pen, basically. So even to this day, if I'm going to a listing appointment or to a buyer consultation, I will actually pull this out and I will practice it on my way to wherever the appointment is, whether it be at my office or whatnot. And when I get to practice it before I actually deliver it to the client, I just notice that I give probably at least a 50% better presentation if I've practiced it once out loud, even though I've given this consultation so many times. So I would practice that a lot, and then duplicate this and customize it as well. I mean, make it your own presentation. And I think that's pretty much, I have everything that we have for you guys today. So if you need any further help with this, or if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much for your time, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.